I discharged that round, dropped back behind some protection, got enough firepower to get the 4 guys who were pinned down out of there. The medic came over and he and I crawled back to our commanding officer, and I'll tell you one thing, we didn't swerve a bit. We went through those race paddies, through the rocks, jungle, and we got back. 20 minutes later, the rest of that platoon came crawling in on their hands and knees, filled with mud and muck from those race paddies, and we set up another defensive position. They probed our perimeter close enough when all of a sudden I saw a grenade come flying through the air, and it hit my commanding officer on the back, and it didn't go off, but it bounded towards where I was, and I wasn't but 4 feet from him, and as I got up to jump out of the way, it blew up, and I was standing on top of it and blew up through my right foot, knee, and thigh, and again we're in another firefight. Until a sister platoon fought its way down, dragged us out of there, got to a secured area. Helicopters finally came in, took us to an aid station, and then I went to Da Nang where I spent, and then Tokyo 3 weeks in the hospital before I came back to the States, where I spent 9 months in the hospital, went through 3 more operations. But it was during that period of time when I was just in Da Nang, right out of the field, IVs running in and out of your body, a morphine drip to take the pain away, and all those questions that we have in our lives about why me, now what? What's going to happen? I had something, you took it away from me, where's my future come flowing through my mind? Now across from me was a young soldier who was a triple amputee, lost his left arm and both legs. And every day that I was there, and I wasn't there but for a short period of time, every day I was there, the aides would come to take him to therapy, and he'd grab that little trapeze that swung over his bed and swing his torso as he best possibly could into that wheelchair, and they pushed him out. Now he made him stop at every bed that was in the ward, and it wasn't a big ward, but he'd stop by my bed, and he'd say, "Hey, how you doing today? You know, you look better today than you did yesterday, because let me tell you, in all honesty, yesterday, you look like shit. We got some good docs here, we're gonna take care of you, we'll get you out of here, and I'll see you back in the real world one of these days." And I thought, wow, if anybody could be embittered with their lot in life, it would be that young soldier having to live with those atrocities that took place thousands of miles away, but yet he chose to make a difference, yet he chose to have a positive attitude. And I thought, wow. I mean, if he could have an attitude like that, what about me? I mean, I'm going to walk someday. And I got to Tokyo. And eventually, after a couple of weeks, I got enough courage to ask my physician what he thought about my injuries and whether I could come back and play this game of football once again. Now, his response to that question was something like this. He said, "Don't worry about it. You're going to have a normal life. You're going to be able to do the things that normal people do. Just don't expect to get back in that gridiron. It's just because you won't have the strength nor the flexibility to do the things that are necessary to be a running back in the NFL." For you see, what he had formulated from what? From his point of view, from his stream of information, correct or not in his diagnosis, was a perception about my ability. And at that moment in time, as my authority figure, he just sucked that hope right out. 2 days later, honest to God, 2 days later, I get a postcard in the mail, simple postcard. It's got 2 lines on it. It said this: "Rock, team's not doing well. We need you. Art Rooney, owner of the Steelers." Wow. Somebody needed me. They didn't really need me. Somebody took the time to care, and that's all we ever want. And being the family that they are, when I came back, they bought me a year. They put me on the injured reserve list. I had another operation. I came back the following year. I made the developmental squad, or the taxi squad, as we called it back then. Suited up for the last 3 games because of injuries, didn't play, just sat on the bench. Played better than the year before. But what they brought me basically was this: 2 years of an opportunity, 2 years to heal, 2 years to get stronger, 2 years to get faster, 2 years to do something during that period of time. And I came back in 1972, a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger. Leading ground gainer during the exhibition season. Thank you very much. Good enough to make the team, never carried the ball during the regular part of that season. But all of a sudden, it was a magical season in 1972. Came back in 1973, a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger. Leading ground gainer once again during the exhibition season. Thank you very much. Got to carry the ball once during that season. Hey, better than the year before. But all of a sudden, 1973 started to change for me in my perception. And my perception for 1973 was that for the coming season in 74, the starting running backs were already predetermined. The backups were already predetermined. For me to make the team once again, I was going to have to fight with every free agent, draft choice, and rookie to do so, and I just didn't think it was fair. Not that life's fair. I thought, well, maybe it's a sign. I mean, really, in all honesty, we're big on signs. Maybe it's a sign. Hey, maybe it's a sign your life's going in another direction. I mean, you did come back. I got 5 credited seasons towards my retirement. I got a chance to play. Maybe not to the level I thought, but hey, that wasn't part of the deal. And after the 73 season, I left the team. Tried to find my life's work. I was living in Chicago. When I got a call from a teammate of mine coming to Chicago, big sports dinner, Boys and Girls Club, sponsored by the NFL. Guys are coming from all over the league. He said, why don't you join us? I haven't seen you since the end of the season. It'd be great to get together again. Well, I'm not going back, so I declined very politely. He pushed, I declined some more. He pushed some more. Then he asked me that question, why? I hadn't come to terms with why. We don't do that a lot. And the only thing I could blurt out was, well, I quit. I'm not coming back. And he said, you can't quit. He said, if you quit, what you have already done is that you have already made a decision for that coaching staff. Now, do you like them well enough to make decisions for them? He said, no, your responsibility. This is what you want to do, is that you come back and you make them make a decision. You back them in the corner. You give them every reason to either keep you or release you, but you don't cut yourself. The reality of this game is that we're all expendable. The reality of this game is that we all can be cut at any time, but if this is what you want, then you don't cut yourself. Maybe it was just the arm twisting I needed. And I went back. And everything that I perceived the year before did take place. I had a fight with every free agent, draft choice, and rookie once again to be able to make that team. Leading ground gainer during the exhibition season. Thank you very much. Now, the reason that I tell you this is that the reason I was a leading ground gainer during the exhibition season wasn't because of the fact that I was bigger, faster, or better than the other running backs. It was the simple fact that I played more than anybody else during that period of time. I carried the ball more than anybody else during that period of time. Given those two simple statistics, I better be the leading ball carrier during that period of time, because all they were providing for me was what? An opportunity to be able to make this team. And they had to keep me. I was the 5th running back out of 4 at the beginning of that season. Back playing special teams once again. When unbeknownst to us, things happen. First game, Franco Harris, our starting fullback, gets hurt. The backup becomes the starter. I become the backup to the backup. Thank you very much. So with renewed vigor, that first game, second game, third game, fourth game, right before the half, the backup gets hurt. And I'm inserted in the game, along with my running mate, a guy by the name of Preston Pearson, and he finished his career with the Dallas Cowboys. And I tell you this only because of the fact that Preston breaks one 43 yards down the sideline. He scores, gives us a lead. We go on at halftime, go over assignments, adjustments. Who's going to start the second half? Maybe those guys that got you the lead in the first half. So we get to start the second half, and as a team, we win the game. Following week, everybody's still banged up, so Preston and I get to start, and as a team, we win that game. And the week thereafter, it's a Monday night game, an extra day of healing. Franco now becomes healthy. Damn. But that's okay. At least I got a chance to play, show, prove what I could do. We had our pregame meal. And after our pregame meal, we get our breakout groups. All the running backs get together. We go over last-minute assignments, adjustments. The coach gives us the first 3 plays of the game, just in case our illustrious quarterback, Mr. Bradshaw, should forget. So we're going to remind him of what they are. And he looks around the table and he said, Franco, you and Rock will start tonight. Momentarily, you have to understand. I was quite confused. I didn't know how we both could play the same position at the same time. When it dawned on me, I wasn't going to play the fullback position as I had been playing. I was going to play the other running back position. Nobody told me that. I wish they would have. I'd been better prepared. But we go out, and as a team, we win that game. So we get to start the following week. And we win that game. And we start the remaining part of that season. Bradshaw, Franco, and myself. And we win the division. And we go to the playoffs. And we win the playoffs. And we go to the Super Bowl. And we win the Super Bowl. And we play 6 more years together. And we win 3 more Super Bowls. And in 1976, my family that's sitting over there. And in 1976, Franco and I become the second set of running backs in the history of the NFL, each to gain 1,000 yards rushing in one season. And after 12 years, I retire. Now, I tell you that whole story in context, only because of the fact that no matter how passionate you are about this industry, how determined you are, how hard you work, how dedicated, committed you might be, there are times in our lives, as you well know, that we just carry the weight of the world on our shoulders. There are times when we beat our head against the wall. There are times when we question our own ability. There are times when the grass looks greener on the other side, and you ever wonder why you got into this industry to begin with, and things aren't working out the way they should be, and you want to quit and move on. Well, I suppose the whole moral of the story is that if I would have quit all those many years ago, I'd never had the opportunity to play in those Super Bowls or have all those memories. But the reason I got a chance to play wasn't because of my size and speed, 2 things I do not possess, but ultimately because of one talent. For one of the things we have to understand is that we all possess a talent of one nature or another. And it's really our responsibility to be able to identify and define what that talent is that we bring to an organization. We have strengths and we have weaknesses. And the best thing is to be able to support those strengths, understand and manage around those weaknesses as we possibly can. We see that one talent prior to my knowledge. Chuck Knoll had stopped our backfield coach prior to that breakout group all those many years ago and said, listen, you have a weakness in your backfield. Who is your best blocker? He said, Bleir. He said, then start him. One talent. And all of a sudden that fine line of one that connected my life came full circle. Much like the fine line that connects each and every one of our lives to where we are today. For you see, if it wasn't for that one talent, I might not have gotten that opportunity. Well, then I got to thinking, if it wasn't for that one injury, I might not have gotten a chance to play. Or if it wasn't for Preston's one touchdown, we may never have played that second half. Or if it wasn't that one phone call, I might not have come back. Or one postcard. Or one triple amputee. Or one terrific game against Dickie Weister. It may never have happened at all. And that is the power that we have. The power to make a difference. Power to make a choice. The power to have an impact. Because as William Jennings Bryan said, destiny is not a matter of chance, it's a matter of choice. It's not a thing to be waited for, but it's a thing to be achieved in each and every one of our destinies. Along with this company, lies right here in your own hands. We can become what we want to become. And so in closing, I'd like to leave you the few words that have been with me for many, many years, and they go like this. If you think you are beaten, you are. If you think you cannot, you don't. If you like to win, think you can't. It's almost a cinch you won't. Life's battles won't always go to the stronger or faster man, but sooner or later, the one who wins is the one who thinks he can. and you are awesome.